we are learning our second way to graph a linear equation. And this is where we're going to make a table of solutions. This method could be used to graph absolutely anything. Intercepts don't always work. Intercepts don't always work. Like if you have a circle, for example, that sits way up in the fourth quadrant, down in the fourth quadrant, you wouldn't have any intercepts. Okay? So all graphs don't have intercepts. But this method you could use all the time for anything, whether it's a trigonometric graph or a hyperbola or any kind of graph at all. You can use a table to graph. Okay? Your job is going to be to choose 3 values for x or for y. It doesn't matter. I typically choose for x, and I typically choose 1, 2, and 3, but you could choose anything. But remember, you have to graph it, so don't choose like 48. Okay, that's lots of graph paper then. Okay, I typically choose 1, 2, and 3 for x. Okay, doesn't mean that's what you have to do, but that's what you're going to see me do. Do not choose 0, because that's what we just did. We just used intercepts. In fact, if you get 0, then I want you to pick a 4th point, because I don't want intercepts. I want 3 points that are not the intercepts for these. And again, I'm going to go through this, and it's going to seem absolutely ridiculous that I'm doing this on the first example, because I would not expect that you would do that. But I'm going to work it out so you absolutely see what I'm doing, and then I'm not going to go through all these examples, because it works the same every time. I know that your solving skills are fine. I'm not really that worried about your solving skills, and that's really what it comes down to, is solving skills. Okay? So, for the first example, I'm going to make a table. My table looks like this, an X and a Y with a line in it, the line down the middle. And as I said, I like to choose 1, 2, and 3 because they're small numbers, they're not negatives. Or I can choose negatives. And I'm going to plug them in one at a time and find the Y value. And again, you're going to look at this and go, really? She's really plugging those in and working these out when I show you it and do it? Okay, so again, your work is worth nothing in terms of points. This is like a 6-point question. 3 points for your table, 3 points for your graph. Okay? So when I take 1 and I plug it in for x, 1 plus y equals 3. I'm replacing the x with 1. And I solve it. Subtract 1 and y is 2. So I've completed the first point on my table. Plug in 2 for x. 2 plus y is 3. Subtract 2 and y is 1. Plug in 3. 3 plus y is 3. When I subtract 3, I get 0. So I am going to do a 4th point then. I want 3 points that are not the intercepts. So I'll just do 4. 4 plus y is 3. Subtract 4, y is a negative 1. So again, you're finding 2 numbers that add to give you 3, so this isn't real hard to do in your head. Okay? So, algebra shown, algebra not shown. It's up to you. Okay? When you make this table, then, you have formed ordered pairs. The ordered pair 1, 2 works for this line. The ordered pair 2, 1 works for this line. 3, 0, and 4, negative 1. There are an infinite number. So this is why you don't have to have what I have listed. You can have whatever you want. Just make sure it fits your graph paper, because you're going to have to graph it. So 1, 2. 2, 1. And 4, negative 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. You'll notice that my points, when I draw my line, are going to connect just fine. If you get a point, because I've seen it happen, like way up here, that something's wrong. These are linear equations. If you turn your paper in like this, I would just be like, really? You know it's wrong. Why would you turn your paper in like that? You know it's not linear, okay? So if a point is way up somewhere out of the line, then you did something wrong. One of 2 things. You plotted wrong, or you calculated wrong, okay? There's 2 different things that can go wrong. But these should definitely form a line, and if they don't, look for your mistake, okay? Now, I will say that if you get them in a line, you can probably guess that you're correct. I have seen it happen. It's rare, but I've seen somebody get all 3 points wrong and it still made a line. Okay? And it's usually because you do the same mistake 3 times. It's usually a negative. Okay? It doesn't happen very often, but I've seen it happen. If you get a line, you can be pretty sure you're correct. Okay? So again, basically you're doing what you do with interceptions, but instead of plugging zeros, you're plugging other numbers. Okay? So I'm not going to go through all these examples. Let's skip that one. Let's go to this one. Do I have my fraction? Yeah, I do. I want my fraction one. Okay, so let's go to my 2y equals 8 minus 3x. I'm going to make my table. And I'm going to choose 1, 2, and 3. That's what I like. You can choose it for y if you wanted to. I like it for x myself. I don't know. It's consistent. I don't know why. I just do. So I'm going to take my 1 and plug it for my x and find my y. 2y equals 8 minus 3. 8 minus 3 is 5. Divide by 2, and I get 5 halves. Or 2.5. And again, decimal or fraction. I'm not going to take off if you put a repeating decimal there, because you got to know to graph it anyway. So 5 halves. Let's plug in 2. So 2y equals 8 minus 6. 2y equals 2. Divide and y is 1. And again, if you do it in your head, that's wonderful. So 2y equals 8 minus 3 times 3. Plugging in my 3 for x. 2y equals 8 minus 9. 2y is negative 1. And divide, and I get negative half. Oops. Let's shrink that a little bit more. So I plot, and I should get a point, I should get a line. So 1, 2.5. 2, 1. 3, negative half. Okay, I don't know about you, but I think I actually feel heat coming out of that thing now. Oh my gosh, you only emailed 3 times this week. Please, it's Arctic in my room. I just checked the thermometer, it was 62 degrees. We got our line. We connect. And if they're not in a line, know that something's wrong. I'm going to go through one more, just to point something different out. Yes, sir?
How do you graph 5 over 2? Do you just convert it to a decimal?
Yeah, convert it to a decimal. Yeah, so 2.5. So any fraction, just convert to decimal. And even if you convert it to the decimal and you write 2.5 in the table, that's fine. Okay? Whichever way you want to do it. You got to really convert it to a decimal to know where to graph it. Okay? Okay. I know you get the gist of it, so I'm not going to spend much more time, but I want to look at the next question. This is an example where I would not use 1, 2, and 3. Because I'm taking half of something. So I don't want to take half of an odd number, because then I have to work with fractions. I don't care if I get fractions, but I don't want to work with fractions. So here's where I would use, like 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, an even number, negative 2, negative 4 even, okay? When I plug in 2, I am going to get a 0, so I'm going to use 4, 6, 8. And here you can definitely do this one in your head, because y is all alone. So let's do this. Let's do it in our head. Half of 4 is 2. Minus 1 is 1. Plug in 6. Half of 6 is 3. Minus 1 is 2. And plug in 8. Half of 8 is 4. Minus 1 is 3. That one's a simple one to do in your head, although you can write it. So 4, 1. 6, 2. And I'm going to go off my graph paper, but that's okay. 6, 2. And 8, 3. And I've got a line, so I'm pretty sure I'm correct. So whether you're doing intercepts or tables, you're plugging in numbers for x and solving, or y and solving. It's all about the solving, as will be in our third method. Okay? Okay, question. Okay, don't forget next class is your OTL, is your goal assessment on 7-1. Your assignment for 7-2 and 7-3 is a worksheet in eBackpack. Make sure you're doing the correct one. It's the one that says 7-2, 7-3, not the one that says 7-2, 7-3 extra practice. Okay? So it's the one that says 7-2, 7-3, not the one that says extra practice. Okay? So this one here, that's your assignment. If you are you can go ahead and turn it off.